Hello, welcome to the book report. Have an interesting one. Superhuman, the bulletproof plan to age backward and maybe even live forever. By Dave Asprey. Superhuman. So I did not read every page of this book. A lot of what he discusses, he calls it life hacking or health hacking, I think. I forget. Anyway, doesn't matter. Some sort of hacking. He was an unhealthy young person in the computer world, and he took the word hack and applied it to either health or aging. I think it's health hacking or human hacking. Anyway, a lot of what he has in here, I think, is not. It's very much not proven to do anything or help, and some of it's kind of expensive. Although he does. Anyway, basically, he's saying there's increasing evidence and technologies to help you live a healthier and longer life. And even without them, we know of people living active lives into well over 100. There's a Japanese person I know who still goes on long walks, even works in the rice fields, I believe, over 110. So physically active, good life. His goal is to actually live a healthy in all ways, physical, mental, spiritual, to live a healthy life to 120, I think is his goal. And I was a little inspired in that sense. Like my goal before reading this book, my goal was to be, healthy in all ways, physical, spiritual, emotional, mental health into my 90s. But this book was a little inspiring, and I'm like, why limit myself to 90s? We know humans live, good lives well past 100, so why not shoot for that, right? So now my goal is to make it into my 110s, since this is being done now today on planet Earth, so might as well make it a goal. And if I only get to 90s, that's pretty freaking great, right? My dad made it to 90, and he was in okay shape, not great shape, but he had a good quality of life at 90. So if I can duplicate that, I will be happy. But you might as well aim high, right? If you're not even trying, then you might not get there. So. Anyway, there was one section, if I can get the page open. Okay, and he admits that some of what he's got in here is kind of expensive and not proven at all. But he says, yes, some of these technologies are more expensive than others, although many of the most powerful are the least expensive. And while certain interventions are a rich person's game today, that is changing. You can now access a lot of anti-aging technologies for a fraction of what they cost 10 years ago, just like the smartphone you have now is far more capable and less expensive than the models that debuted a decade ago. When you start with the most accessible and simplest lifestyle hacks and selectively choose a few affordable technologies to extend your life or even just your health, you'll buy yourself time so you can afford to wait for the rest to come to you. What could possibly be a better investment than that? So... it's an interesting attitude. I think a lot of the health hacks he has in here are too extreme for most people, but it's interesting. He'll he has a lot of subsections with all these different hacks, particularly the last section about really living longer. And yet, you can duplicate a lot of what these therapies are trying to do, usually through either intermittent fasting, exercise, or just eating more vegetables, right? I mean, like he says, once you really dig into what he's trying to do with these expensive, frankly, kind of invasive, some of it was really invasive technologies, which I don't like. I mean, it's like, I hate needles. I hate all that stuff, you know. When you really dig into what those therapies are trying to do, you can duplicate that with diet, exercise, you know, the basics. Diet, exercise, maybe the most extreme would be intermittent fasting. Um, so anyway, I thought it was interesting. You know, if you want to live a healthier, longer life, I think this is worth reading. Certainly the first couple sections, and then scanning the third, which is much more extreme. And like I said, I really appreciated the change in perspective. You know, why not shoot for 110 plus? You know, why limit my? You know, why shoot for 90 plus? Right? Might as well aim high. So anyway, superhuman, interesting person. I did enjoy his biographical stuff. You know, he really talks about his journey from bad health to good health. I also appreciated what he talked about. A lot of his early bad health was environmental. So mold actually is kind of what he boiled it down to. He lived in a moldy basement, and it really messed him up. So anyway, I enjoyed that part as well. His journey to good health. So, all right. Until next time, happy reading.